It's Chinese New Year, and today on Songs of Praise I'm joining this group of British-based Chinese Christians who are marking it slightly differently. They're on a pilgrimage to an unlikely destination on the trail of a man who helped change the course of Christianity in China and is a spiritual father to millions.
I think we'll be very moved.
We head to a remote Scottish village in Argyll, the global headquarters of a project to feed the world's hungry children.
And in the week that we've been mourning the loss of one of our best-loved broadcasters, Sir Terry Wogan, I've come here to Enniskillen, home to Father Brian Darcy. We're going to be sharing memories of the man we both knew and loved so much.
He taught me humility. Don't be pompous. Say what you have to say and get out.
And of course, we've a selection of inspiring music from across the country, starting with this worship song from Brixton. He is exalted, the King is exalted on high. I will praise him. He is exalted, forever exalted, and I will praise his name. Tomorrow is Chinese New Year, the biggest cultural festival in the Chinese calendar, when the world's 1.5 billion Chinese celebrate and prepare for the 12 months ahead, the Year of the Monkey. This group of Chinese Christians in Manchester are marking the new year in a novel way by going on a pilgrimage.
It's a very important, significant day or experience.
I think we'll be very moved. Yeah, I don't know if I can hold my tears. I'm not sure. We'll see.
They're not off to the Forbidden City or the Great Wall of China or the Terracotta Army. Where they're going, they won't even need passports.
I'm really excited to see this place,
They're making the 35-mile journey to the South Yorkshire town of Barnsley. And we're on the trail of a local lad who made it his life's work to take Christianity to China. While today there are estimated to be more than 60 million Christians in China, many of whom consider James Hudson Taylor to be the founding father of their faith. However, he doesn't appear to be widely known in his hometown. Who is James Hudson Taylor?
I don't know. He's the MP.
No, he's not an MP.
I don't know.
Does it ring a bell?
No idea.
Never heard of him. Surely someone's heard of him. Do you know who James Hudson Taylor is?
Well, James Hudson Taylor was a very, very famous missionary. I know that he went through to China and did lots of missionaries.
Correct! The son of a pharmacist and local Methodist preacher, he was born here in Barnsley in 1832.
You know, it was a period of exploration all over the place, and his parents brought in books about China. And by the time he was 17, he was absolutely sure that God wanted him to go to China.
Although the Chinese had already encountered Protestant Christianity in coastal ports like Shanghai, it had yet to reach inland China. There were other British missionaries there before him and at the same time. What was so different about Hudson Taylor?
He wanted to be as Chinese as possible to reduce the distance between foreigners and the Chinese. So, for example, he adopted Chinese dress. He even had a pigtail. And his desire from the start was to make it possible for the church to be as Chinese as possible and led by Chinese.
During the 50 years he spent in China, he was responsible for establishing hundreds of churches and nearly 200 schools, and founded the China Inland Mission, one of the largest Christian movements in the world.
Okay, everyone. Hello, ni hao. Ni hao. And welcome to Barnsley.
I feel very, very energetic, very excited, and I can't believe that God just used this little place to do the amazing work among the Chinese,
Some people get very emotional. We've even had a number of people, when they get to Boots the Chemist, his birthplace, fall on the ground and kiss the ground and declare it holy space. It's an incredible spiritual experience that people get when they come here. Everybody happy? Yeah! Let's go!
We'll be back with our Chinese Christians later in the programme as they see the birthplace of James Hudson Taylor for the first time. But next it's to Bristol for this hymn of mission.
All this week, people have been paying tribute to Sir Terry Wogan. You know, he was so loved as a broadcaster, a fundraiser, even a singer. I should know, I did a couple of duets with him. He was great fun to work with. We first met on his chat show when I was a 13-year-old chorister.
Do you get a lot of teasing in school?
Yes, frequently.
Yeah.
They call me names from Jesus to Ave Maria. But just last week, one person called me Terry Wogan. It was just...
A foul
just
slide. What a terrible thing to say to a little boy.
He was as encouraging to me back then as he was to me when I joined Radio 2 as an adult. He referred to me as his radio son, and he was very much my radio dad. How are you? One man who remembers him just as fondly is his close friend of over 40 years, Father Brian Darcy, who lives here in Enniskillen, Northern Ireland. For years, he was a regular contributor on Sir Terry's Radio 2 breakfast show with Pause for Thought. Father Brian, lovely to see you.
And you, Alan.
I wish it was in happier circumstances.
Oh, gosh, I don't know about you, but I'm just cried out at this stage.
It was a massive shock.
Massive shock to everybody, because he was both a friend and a hero, and that's hard to do that, and it's hard to find yourself without a friend or a hero.
Absolutely, he was the same to me. He was a broadcasting legend and a hero. You were one of the last to see him. You saw him last week. Well,
one of the last outside the family. I'm so privileged about that, and I said goodbye to Terry.
How tough was that for you?
Very tough, very, very tough. And I'll cry bitter tears, because I think Terry would probably say, listen boy, I'm not worth crying about.
That's exactly what he would say, isn't it? Father Brian broadcast his reflections on life and faith from his home at St Gabriel's Retreat. And Terry came to see it for himself.
I always assumed you'd have a cell.
Well, here's a cell.
Is this going to disappoint me now? Are there going to be? Is there a bed of rushes and things?
Well, it's a plank. This is my room.
Your simple bedroom.
I sat down here, put on my headphones, and spoke to the nation, to 8 million people from this little desk.
I get up at 5:20 every morning, traipsed into London, into Broadcasting House. You
got out of the bed,
in the pyjamas,
turned round into the pyjamas, and said, "Good morning, Terry."
Oh, very good morning to you, Brian.
And it's interesting, isn't it? Because Terry Wogan brought faith to the masses in such an accessible way. Millions of people listening to your Pause for Thought.
Well, you and I know that. You know, I had a lovely letter, and I hope from the man who wrote "You Raised Me Up" the other day, Brendan Graham, and he wrote me this beautiful thing, and he said, you know, Terry brought community to religion. He said every morning you had the communion of the Word to millions.
Yeah.
Here we go, the final total of this very night for Children in Need.
For many television viewers, he was best remembered for hosting Children in Need for 30 years. During that time, he helped raise £800 million for the charity. You mentioned the name Sir Terry Wogan. You think about Children in Need?
Yes, Terry would never do anything like that for himself.
No.
We would cajole you into doing anything for a good cause, and Children in Need was his way of being good and religious in life without being good and religious.
Sir Terry made no secret of the fact that he wasn't a religious man, even though he was brought up a Catholic and educated at a school run by Jesuits.